So before I teach a horse to lunge, I make sure their leading skills are very good. I make sure they can bend both ways, yield in the hind end just like that. You can use like pressure points and stuff to help a horse yield over. We also did like exercises with like a lunging kind of feel, like mounting block and picking up feet. I let him lunge himself when he would feel stressed out, like he does it here. And then he's learning unintentionally that round and round and round is a way to stay calm. So kind of the opposite of how some people use it. They use it to get them tired. I use it to make them calm. So when I introduce saddle and I'm lunging, they understand that that's their way of staying calm. This was the first time I did like an intentional lunge. I still have him on the lead. So as you can see, his leading skills are very good. He's very light in hand. And I'm just twirling the rope to kind of help him go forward, creating like a canal. My belly button is pointed to his hip. I now go off and get the lunge whip. I do not use the whip to whip him. I use it kind of to corral him, as you'll see in this video. It's sort of opening the hand and following behind with the lunge whip, and you create a corral, and then all he can do is go forward. So here we go. So I open hand just like we do in leading, and I come behind with the whip. He's on a very short circle, and I go with him. I don't expect him to just me stand in the middle and him go round and round. He does not know what he's doing. So you just help them out, help them make sense of it so that this remains a calm exercise, just like he did when using it to relieve stress. So as you can see, he's still a little bit nervous, got a little nervous poop there, but that's okay. If your horse is nervous, it's okay. But the point is to make sure, one, they understand. So you've done all the things leading up to this that help them understand, and the way you're teaching them this new process makes sense. So I'm opening the hand with the lead, following behind with the whip, and my belly button is pointed in a forward motion, right? Coming behind him, and I do not expect to stand in the middle. I will walk with him around and around and around. And that's why I use the short lead, because when they get out on a lunge line and they don't know what they're doing, they get frantic, number one. But then they keep trying to come in, like it just doesn't make sense to them, and we're whipping and then they're frantic. The key is to keep this like a happy experience so that he enjoys doing it still, because he's enjoyed it so far, using it as a stress release. Okay, this was his first time trotting. Now I start to actually touch him with the whip, but I use it sort of like a fly fishing line. It's very light, and I'm just sort of touching him with it. This is also good for like desensitization. Things are going to be touching him when I'm riding him, so we might as well prepare him for that now. And it also helps him learn that the whip is not a bad thing. The whip is a good thing. If your horse has whip trauma, you might have to graduate this in a little bit more gentler, but he has no whip trauma, so he's just accepting it for what it is, like driving him forward. As you can see, he is pretty alert, but like he understands. He's not frantic, he's still light in hand, and I'm still, yes, following him around, but he's still on a short lead. We have not graduated to the lunge line yet. We need him to be a little bit more educated on the lunging process. And if he wants to walk, I let him. I bring him in, so he learned that in leading. Good boy. And then I switch hands, open arm, and follow with whip on the other side. And he understood I wanted him to change direction. And see the nice bend he has. He can yield over. This is great. This is like a perfect introduction way I've found in my experience teaching horses to lunge, especially when you don't have a round pen. Makes it a little bit more complicated. The round pen can help it make more sense, but if you don't have a round pen, I suggest this, and like using an end where there is maybe a wall or a fence or something on the one side, so that the one side, like, they're not kind of going all over the arena. And he stops and starts this whole time. But as you can see, he's still very, very light in hand. He stops there. He was a little unsure, and I don't get frantic or stressed. This was up top the other side of the arena, so away from the door. This was a difficult day for him. He kept wanting to go back to the door side, but we just persevered, and he did end up on a good note. As you guys can see, he's already wearing his bareback pad here, so we've done quite a bit of training before this has even started this lunging process, right? This is the day after that, so I decided to go back to the other wall, just because we're not really at a point where we can start testing. I want to keep it, you know, good. I did make him do it on the other side that day, just, you know, because you don't want them to also think that they can put up a fight and then get their own way. But to continue the training process, I felt it was best to do it down here until he's a little bit more advanced, and then I would go back to the other side. So flick of the head, he was a little stressed out there. But again, he's still on a short lead, and I'm keeping it very calm. You see how he looks at that door? He's still very hurty. So this now, we are on the big lunge. So what I do now that he's on the big lunge and he's getting a little bit more freedom, so I'm doing the same thing, open arm, but see how he wants to come in now. So I'll point the whip to his shoulder. If he's still adamant on coming in, you can wiggle the lunge line just to kind of make it more like stern. There we go. Asking him to trot. And again, not frantic. He'd rather come in if anything, but that's okay. I'm his safety, right? I've built this, that I'm his trust. And again, I'm not a stickler. So you know what? Let's change sides. Let's change direction. The main thing is for me right now is he understands just lunging around me, right? You can see that I'm not having to follow him as much now that I'm on the longer line. But if I did need to, I'd wheel him in and we'd start right back on a smaller circle. It's mainly keeping this as positive as possible, right? And the more positive you keep it, horses actually like to lunge. It's good to warm them up before riding. If a horse is in a stressful situation, you think walking on the lunge. I'm not a big one for cantering on the lunge in the early process because I feel it can increase adrenaline. But if your horse is calm to do so and wants to canter, like if 40 were to right now break into a canter and it was just a calm little lope, I would allow that. If he kind of took off on the lead, I would just let him come back on his own. You know, I would never force him to stop. Horses feel safe when they're moving, and if they need to run, that means they are scared. So it's kind of one of those things they can just sort of figure it out on their own if you remain a calm space. So now I'm teaching him to trot and then come back to walk without coming in. That's what I was doing there. So I kind of shortened the circle a bit. So you trot and then walk, and I'm using voice commands so that this can carry through when I get him in the saddle, right? So if I want him to walk, and I repeat the word as he's doing it, walk, walk, walk. I've asked him to stop now. Good boy. And again, just making this a really happy place.